Hello. If you could tell the world anything, what would you tell the world? Just take that in. I ask that question almost every day, and I hear the answers almost every day. And to have people tell you their stories, to share their struggles and their dreams, it's big to ask somebody to share who they really are. Among the many stories I've heard, I used to work in San Francisco in the financial district. And I remember the homeless person I saw, and the fact that there is a homeless person in San Francisco is a different TED Talk. But every day I saw him, and every day his dream was to have a home. And only a few days ago, I met a woman on the streets of Amman carrying her child, coming to me and just begging to feed her child. She's Jordanian, by the way. And her only wish and dream is to feed her child. So it's difficult, to see so much pain. And I've been this person for a very long time. So according to my friends, they joke and they say with me, it's confession time. You walk my way, and then before you know it, you're saying things you've probably never imagined. You tell a stranger, you're crying and you're sharing your dreams. And the way that happens with me is very simple. I ask a question we all know. How are you? And I wait for I'm fine, thank you, how are you? And okay. And I do it again. How are you really? And I want you to take that in. How are you really? You feel that? The pain, the dreams, the aspirations, everything you want, your spirit letting you know this is not okay and this is okay. This is something, a message that you need to tell others. And see, if I was somebody who refused to listen, and a lot do, right? They have no time to sit down and hear a homeless person talk or somebody on the streets or even their friends or family sometimes. You can choose to do that. I don't. I like to listen, and then I try to give from what I have. And the reason I do that is because I know that there are no coincidences in life. So those people who came your way, or who come my way, they're there to give me one main thing, my purpose. So at the age of 17, or even maybe before, I knew my purpose was to empower everyone, economically and socially. Wow, big purpose, I know. But when you have a purpose that big, the only thing you can do is really learn. I mean, who else has similar purposes? Where do I go? Where do I start? To learn what I need to know so that I can actually do what I know. I believed was my calling. So I remember being back in San Francisco. Again, I changed my major 4 times. So if anybody's struggling with choosing a major, don't worry. 4 times. Went to random classes, studied anything I could study, physics, philosophy, anything, everything. And some may call me not very, opinionated, because the current academia, they tell you to have to choose one and remain on that line. I didn't do that. I studied everything I could. And eventually I graduated with a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in social psychology. And right after that, I wanted to pursue a PhD, but I wanted to be in the real world. I needed to study. I needed to see people now. I needed their perspectives, their ideas. So I started a company, and then another, all with the same purpose. It was always the same thing that I wanted. 7 companies later, in March of 2016, I met a partner who shared my vision, shared my purpose. And together we started 7 Circles. And then we hired the team and put in an investment in experimenting with new things. I have to be very honest and tell you something. Nothing is ever handed to you. So if you're waiting for this answer, this cure for cancer, or whatever it is that you're working towards, to come your way, it's not going to. You have to experiment so many different times. Now, the moment the cure is there, don't worry, the others can replicate it, right? But it's the journey to finding that answer. That you will invest everything in one thought, in one idea, and watch it crumble down, and you'll know that wasn't the right thing, and then you have to try again, and try again, and try again. And there is nothing more difficult than to invest everything you have in something and watch it fail, and then try again. But you must, you have to. So because of my partner, my teams, and my advisors, and everybody who came my way, I finally saw something that I've been working towards. And it's such a small, simple, just a drawing of some sort. But that, right here, I'll tell you a lot more about that in a bit. But this model is exactly what I've always seen. It all started with a cookbook. Yes, you heard me right, a cookbook. Printed and published right here, is made of 54 women who share their stories and their recipes. What's different about this cookbook is right there is Lana Bataine, who has ALS. Her story and how to reach her in case anybody wants to talk to her. Because she can't talk the way I'm talking right now, but she's very good with WhatsApp and sending emails, and she has a blog to inspire everybody who doesn't know what ALS is. Right there are the recipes edited by the Royal Academy. The student chefs and the instructors cooked the meals. Ingredients were provided by a local supplier. And right there, I'll give you another layout so you can imagine it, are the nutritional icons, just in case anybody has an allergy. And this was important for me because one of my boys last year, the students in his class, her mom called me before his birthday and she said, please, every time there is a birthday, my daughter is sent to the principal's office because she has so many allergies. I'm just proud to say that that birthday we bought 30 cupcakes and everybody got to celebrate with her. So I think that's how I see it. The way I see that this woman from a different background, 54 women of different backgrounds. Let me just explain this one. That means whether you're Swedish or an American or a Syrian or a Palestinian, if you're in Jordan, you belong in Jordan. That means if you are a refugee or you are a senator, you belong in this book. One layout per page. In this cookbook, we are all equal. Whether you have ALS, you've lost a daughter, no matter who you are, what your story is, you're able to say it, no judgment. We all want to read it, we all want to hear you. And right here, you belong. And that empowers people socially. An example is my Swedish friend right there, who made something Swedish and Jordanian. And then, 54 women who live in Jordan except one. A few weeks before this cookbook, the designer came my way and she told me that her mom had passed away and that her mom's wish and dream was for her to design a cookbook. So this is actually her mom, and this is a contribution in honor of her mom by her daughter who designed this book, and that was the last recipe she gave her. So just to let you know a little bit more, Rula, our designer, is now actually designing even more cookbooks. So Auntie, may you be watching over us always. And a little bit more. We have a section there to how to start and how to scale your business. There's also a health chapter. But I want to talk more about the business chapter here because this is how we empower people economically. So that means no matter who you are, who's reading the book or you're part of the book, you would have everything that you need, the know-hows to know what to do to start and to scale your business. This is so important because we can't just go to them and be like, figure it out. You have to hold their hands, guide them through it. If, for me, an example of the successful woman in this field, by the way, is Aya Aghabi. Aya Aghabi, 9 years ago, was in a car accident. She was 18 years old. A few days after her accident, I was with her in the hospital bed, and I remember seeing her. She just had realized and known that she would not be able to walk. Seeing Aya, for me, it was very difficult, but at the same time so inspiring to know that she knew she was going to be okay. She believed it. Today, Aya is making Jordan more accessible. And right there is a section of how to make a restaurant more accessible. So all the Lanas and the Ayas of the world can enjoy the meals too. And then we have pictures of Jordan. Jordan, provided by the Ministry of Tourism, because we wanted to make sure everybody who's reading our book sees the beauty of our country. A part of the proceeds of this book to make it a feel-good book goes to feed the hungry. So this cookbook, you will feed, you will teach people how to feed themselves in a world where they all belong. Just to give you a heads up back to the model that I worked so hard on with many, many others. By the way, I cannot take credit for that. Everybody who was part of working on this with us throughout the years got us here. But you can see it now, right? The 54 women, they're there. Civil society helped us with impact funds to find and allocate women from across the country. So we have women from Aqaba and other places too. Academia, the chefs are the ones who cook the meals. We had our private sector provide us with the ingredients. Public sector gave us pictures of the country, of course. And the aid agencies are the organizations that fed the hungry. You see it, right? And then we can measure and scale this model because now it's being replicated in all these countries. Okay, so just to give you a perspective, it doesn't mean that the Jordanian book is there. Yes, we are selling it globally. No, it means that when you go to anywhere you want, for example, Egypt, you will find people in Egypt sharing their stories and their recipes. That means if you're a Jordanian who lives in Egypt, well, you know you belong there, right? It means that no matter where you come from, in our world, the way we see it, you're all equal. And no matter where you're living right now, you belong in that country. Okay? So let me now take you back to my office for a minute. This is an example of a layout of my son's teacher, the art teacher. You can see it, right? 80 women in the country will share their paintings and their stories. And you know that these women will be of different backgrounds. And you know that they'll be from all across the country. And it could be the expat who's been here. It could be the one of unknown origin. And that you know that the art galleries with the Ministry of Culture and everybody and all stakeholders will work together with a part of the proceeds going back. And you'll also know the know-hows you need to become an artist in this country and how to become a global artist really by selling your art everywhere. Another example by Iyad, who is in Zatari camp, a refugee. And now you see that he's a boy, or he's a man actually, so it's not just for women. He is part of our youth project. So empowering men, women, and youth is possible with this model. Yes, we did start with women, but this can be applied for all. Through cooking, painting, healthy living, designing, building, singing, coding. See, they don't just have to be books when we talk about those things or when we think of these models. But I believe that if you have a validation with 100 people that does well, then you can replicate that to serve our world. So now you can almost imagine it, right? Like if we were in the office right now and we were thinking, what else, how? You can see how we're going to do this. And that's exactly the point. That now we know what to do and how to measure a model that is actually applicable anywhere. And then you know your role in a model like this one. So, why? Why do I do this? Why did I always work on this? Like all of you, I know pain and I have a story too. And I think the summary of any story, every story, is knowing pain, the kind of pain that you have two choices. Either you give up or you do something about it. Now, I believe from my journey is that when you do something to serve another or to empower another, it will be exactly what you need to keep moving. I'm not saying you will never cry again. You will cry. But among those tears, you will find the courage and the strength to keep moving. So, what would I tell the world? I would tell the world that empowering through maybe the model that builds a kinder world. For my boys, Hashem and Hamzah, and for all the children in the world. Thank you.